Hey, beautiful souls. So I'm just going to keep an eye that my phone doesn't overheat. And I want to talk to a few things before my phone overheats. How about that? So let me just share this live stream. So I want to talk a little bit about, so I posted something last night that came through, the other day when I was talking, well, everyone was sharing about Jessie Lee, and to be honest, I didn't know who she was until a lot of people started sharing everything about her. And so as I do a little bit of research until I get my intuitive answer. And sorry, I'm just sharing this as I'm talking. Sharing it on my other phone. It's important to share this. Hang on, I'll just share this and be present. Wait on, give me 2 seconds. Nearly done. Okay, sweet. So, okay. All right, so I wanted to speak a little bit about it, and then also I got more information about the October 14th date. So not long ago, I did a 3-part series of live streams for like an important collective energy update. If you guys didn't watch that and you want to watch the energy update that I did at the end of August, just comment series below and I'll send you the link for that, the links to watch them. Now, it's interesting, and the reason I'm doing this live stream is because it's quite important what I was talking about. And like I said, there's a few comments that I want to respond to on a live stream as well, and it's just important to talk about this because the thing is that the world is waking up. The world was raised in unconsciousness, right? Like the world has literally been raised in unconsciousness, and the world is waking up. Right? Everyone knows we're going through a great big spiritual awakening on the planet, and the world is waking up. And the reality is that we've been raised in unconsciousness in a bucket load of trauma that's still going on the planet in many, many places, and many, many families and many, many lives. And there's still a lot of unconsciousness on the planet, but there's also a lot of consciousness on the planet. And there's a lot of, the thing is we've been raised in unconsciousness, and now we're waking up, and now true healing is required. So as I had spoken about in the post that I shared, and I'm just going to read a little bit here. It was like, suddenly stage 4 cancer, and within months she was dead. Now, the last thing, and I've seen this over and over and over again. Like I said, when I see people die or I see people talk about stuff, I do my little intuitive research, when I'm guided to. I don't chase everything down. But when I'm guided to, I will follow, and all the intuitive threads that guide me, and this is what I teach in Trust Intuition. I'm like, your intuition is always speaking to you, and your intuition is always guiding you to understand things, but you've got to learn how your intuition speaks to you, and you have to learn how to follow the threads your intuition is guiding you, and then know when to pull out. Don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, right? So, like I said, I hadn't heard about this woman, didn't know she existed until a lot of people on my feed were sharing about her. I'm like, who is this woman? And then did my little intuitive research, found the live stream that she did on Instagram, and she was, holding a lot of grief. She was fighting it back. And then I did a little bit more research, and she'd shared that she had a rough childhood, and intuitively showing all these things. And then I was like, wow, and to then have stage 4 cancer, but she's impacted millions, helped millions, all of that sort of thing. And the thing is that we can run our lives at effect of our childhood trauma, like we do, right? And if we're not conscious of it and heal it, and that's why a lot of people hit brick walls or hit timeline convergence. As I speak about the timeline convergences, and all the trauma surfaces at specific points in your life, there's certain age timelines, and then there's other timeline convergences that come together, and this is when it surfaces, right? Some people think they're having a mental breakdown, some people's relationships fall apart, and it's like if we actually looked at the trauma underneath and the patterns that are surfacing to be healed, because the thing is that when we grow, we also outgrow patterns, we also outgrow trauma, And when the trauma surfaces, it feels like we're losing our mind. There's a timeline convergence. It feels like the world's ending. Relationship breakups can happen. And if we're not conscious that it's the trauma running the system, then that will cause our life to fall apart. And then we're like, oh, what did we do? And it's like, actually, it was just the trauma surfacing, right? Now, the thing that I've seen in my 18 years of living, breathing, and facilitating in this industry is that when, and there's been quite a few in the last few recent years actually as well, a lot of top entrepreneurs, people in the spotlight, people who have big followings, and they get severely ill, and then they go on this big like health cleanse and do enemas and all the strict like regimes and everything like that. And as I said in my post, I'm like, it's a little bit late for that. It's a little bit late. And what I mean by that is it's not like those are not going to work. But the thing is that when somebody who is healthy, right, or very successful, and then they hit this severe illness, right, and then they go and do a whole pile of enemas and health regimes and all those sort of things, like it's not the right time to be delving into that. Like, especially at say stage 4 cancer, I'm like, it's a little bit late. And what I mean is that when you detox and when you do enemas and a full strict physical health regime, your body like expels all the toxins, right? When you've got stage 4 cancer or any other severe illness, it's not the right time to be dumping more toxins into your system. No wonder people go downhill very quickly when they go down that path. But, you know, and this is where it's like, work with a trained facilitator in these areas, because doing deep like enemas at stage 4 cancer is really not what the body needs. Like, what needs to be expelled is the deep trauma and the pain and the betrayal and the grief, especially bowel cancer. That's where grief is stored. You hear me talk about all the time. Tears release the stress hormone cortisol from the body. Tears serve a definite function by releasing cortisol. Cortisol backs up, everything backs up. Stress, we're running at a certain level of frequency all the time, suppressing emotions. Society is taught that way. Society is trained that way. So I want to speak to this. So number one, someone first of all said to me, oh, you're using death as a way to like gain business. And I'm like, death is my business. I'm a psychic medium. I deal with people in death, dying, trauma, rape, gang rape, murder all the time. Like, these are my clients. They come to me to heal this stuff. This is my business. This is my work. Not many people on the planet deal with this level of trauma, this level of grief, illness, apart from maybe doctors and medical stuff, right? But the thing is that people, this is my business, guys, right? Number one. Number two, I train healers in this industry for this reason, because so many people miss this. Like, this is deeper than a few Reiki sessions or a few crystal healings or, you know, a few like whatever. Like, it's way deeper than this. This is trauma stored in the body, and it's so important that this is the thing that people are missing, right? Okay, I'm just starting to find these comments because there was another really good question here. So someone had said to me on my post on my personal page, but just bring it up here. I just want to speak to it because it's really, really important. This is, again, what I train my healers in this. We all have to die. We can't live forever, exactly, right? And this is the thing. It's like death is like part of living. And it's, especially in the Western society, it's very shunned, right? It's very shunned. Just get on with it. That's why people store trauma. That's why, like, our society is trained to, you know, to hide shit, right? Like, no. Okay, so because someone had said here on my comments, I do believe she died of sepsis from the kidney issues she was having, not the cancer. And I'm like, well, the sepsis or septitis, whichever it's called, I think it's sepsis and kidney issues and kidney failure began from the cancer, right? And again, this is where, you know, like kidneys and liver are the filters of the body. Okay, and if the filters are backed up, everything backs up and everything gets, you know, everything backs up, right? So the kidneys and the liver filter all the toxins out of the body. Now, for example, in this case with Jamie, cancer had been sitting in her body unconscious to her for however, who knows how long. When she became conscious of it, right, then she started doing all the enemas and cleansing. Again, it's not the right time to be doing that. The kidneys and the liver is already overloaded from the cancer. By doing enemas and all the, like, expelling more, like, you're going to stir up and start to do a detox. Like, the body goes into extra overload when it's already in overload. It's not the time to be doing that. So, of course, the kidneys are going to get extra overloaded. And sepsis is an infection because there's so much toxic crap. If you think of septic tank, sepsis, septic tank, it's just full of toxins, right? And there's nowhere for it to go. Like, there's too much in there. It's not the time to be doing a physical detox when you're already physically detoxing, right? It's time to tap into the emotional well of stored trauma that's caused the impact of the physical because it was ignored, and the body is screaming out for the attention, for look at me, I can't hold this anymore, right? Physically dealing with something that emotionally started is not how we heal. So when someone said this, you know, and what I replied with, and this is what I really want to talk about, it's like this really important piece where, you know, it's like when somebody gets hit with a physical severe illness, it's been there for a lot longer than they're conscious of, but it's the build-up of the emotional stuff. Too many do not know what they're doing with health. Like, you wouldn't go and give yourself open heart surgery. You'd go to a doctor, right? Whereas people take healing into their own hands without working with a trained facilitator, especially when it's like, it's just, yeah. There's so much that I could say about this. So someone had also commented, and this is what I wanted to speak to here with Agnes, and she was saying about her brother with the kidney. And I'm just going to turn my car on because I have a feeling the phone's going to overheat. So I just want to turn the aircon on so it doesn't overheat. It's my intuition telling me it's time to put the aircon on. Cool my phone down. Alright. Because this is important. So Agnes says, Hannah, my brother had kidney issues and was on kidney dialysis for several years. Then he got a kidney transplant. He had nothing but kidney infections since February, since he had the operation. Last month he had a mild stroke. So things to understand, and this is where I'm saying, like, people who take, like, you know, it's like you go to a doctor to get all the diagnosis, right? It's the first thing I always talk about, and how I train my healers. It's like, whatever's going on, go to a GP, go to a professional, get properly diagnosed. 100%. Like, if something's going on, go and get diagnosed. Doesn't mean that you have to take the treatment that they give you. That's a personal choice, right? But go and get diagnosed 100%, because then we know exactly what we're dealing with. Then come to someone like myself, or you know, another trained healer. Like, I've got a school of trained healers, right? This is what I teach in my trained healing school, because of this very reason, that so many people just don't know what the fuck they're doing, and then shit happens and they end up dying very quickly, right? So this is the thing, like, I'm really passionate about this because it's really missing in the healing industry, and so many more people can be saved if they're actually going to deal with the trauma from their childhood, so it doesn't build up in their system, like 100%. So last month he had a mild stroke, but he was told that he needed to take the vax, and then unfortunately, and so he's gone down, right? He's still struggling right now with kidney infections. They say fear lies in the kidneys, yes. So whilst there's the physical aspects of what the organs do in the body, like 100%, then there's also the emotional understanding, and both of them need to be worked at, right? Like, for example, and this is where it's like, working with an intuitive healer and working with a GP at the same time is really important when you've got any sort of diagnosis going on, and then you make your own decisions from that, okay? Because, for example, like, if a doctor says that you need surgery to get this tumor out ASAP, well, then you need to listen to them, right? Because which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do we, like, sit there and do all the trauma work when, like, the tumor needs to be removed ASAP? Or do we, like, you know, and like ignore the doctor's thing? Or do we do that and then also work on that? Because the thing with getting like an organ removed or something like that, the energy of it's still there. Getting a tumor removed, the energy of it's still there. And if you don't deal with the energy of why it was there in the first place, it'll just grow back, right? So it's like, which comes first, chicken or egg? And it's, every situation is very different, right? So when you said, Agnes, that he's struggling with kidney infections, don't they say that fear lies in the kidney? He worked very hard all his life on construction sites, outdoors. He had his appendix out when he was 20s, and then it burst and he left hospital. Like, there's all this stuff, like, and everybody has stuff like this. And the thing is that everybody has major stuff happen in their life, and society is trained to just, oh, get on with it, it'll be fine, just be successful, or just be hard and get on. Like, that creates an energy blockage in the body, and everything backs up from there. I talk about this in my book quite a lot, because I call it like scar layers, right? Like, whatever impacted you at whatever point in time in your life sits in your aura like a rock, like a black hole, like a, I don't know, like I teach all the different trauma wounds in Trust Intuition. I teach how to remove the trauma as well, and we do specific healing methods and use art therapy and all different types of processes. So you've got a whole toolkit, because every client's different and every client needs something different, right? So when you've got an entire toolkit, you're able to know which tool to use, and this is where the intuitive part of it comes into it, right? And then understanding your intuition, understanding what's going on for the client intuitively, because every client's different depending on their history, depending on their past lives, depending on their multi-dimensional lives that are interfering and still hooked onto it. Like, it's deep work, okay? Not everybody's ready for this, but there's definitely people out there who are ready to be trained in this, because in the future this is needed. Like, it's needed now, and as we move more into the future, this is only going to increase because of everything on the planet right now not working, right? Plus the fact that society was raised unconsciously, everybody's waking up, and so deep healing is now needed. Hence why I'm passionate about what I do. So when we look at Agnes, like your brother, for example, and he's all his life, right, and he's gone through all of these things, and then he's kept working, or, you know, especially as men, women as well, but especially men are taught to bury and bottle down this stuff, right? And so when we look at this, it's like, don't they say that fear lives in the kidneys? Yes. So every organ from a traditional Chinese medicine standpoint has a specific function and a time on the 24-hour clock, and then also it has a specific emotion that it specifically deals with. So kidneys is definitely where fear lives in the body, right? And so that's when somebody pisses themselves, right? When they're shit scared, like, or they shit themselves, like, fear lives there, right? Or like, and I said, like, you know, the tears release the stress hormone cortisol. That's why we cry. That's why we grieve, right? Because it's a stressful situation. We had to, like, the adrenaline kicks in and whatever goes on, and then we just keep going. If we don't give ourselves like time to grieve whatever incident happened, and that can come after a period of time of, like, it can hit you, and it can physically hit you because you've buried it until then, you haven't dealt with it energetically and emotionally, and this is where it all builds up and these scar layers happen. But because it's sitting there, you'll keep attracting a life and situations that repeat those sort of patterns. And that's why people are like, oh, it's the same, you know, different relationship, same shit. It's like, yeah, because you didn't deal with the issues that are sitting in your vibration, sitting in your aura, sitting as an energetic trauma from way back when, right? So that's why it's so important. So just making sure this phone is not overheating. Okay, so my Trust Intuition training school, it's a 9-month course. We start that next year. Early bird opens in a couple of weeks, so just comment trust below if you want me to send you the details for that. It's a complete training certification. You come out with certification at the end of it. It is a 9 to 12 month training course because of exactly the thing. This is not like just child's play intuition. Like, this is deep trauma healing. This is understanding it at a core level. You know, understanding how to remove trauma, understanding how to have clients with it. Like, you know, this is my life's work. This is what I'm passionate about, because as I said, in the future, this is needed. As a society, we are taught to suppress our emotions. Don't cry, it's all right, look at the Bernie. Like, from way back when, like, society has been raised unconsciously. Don't feel. Why? Oh, that's your heart. Oh, we don't want people living in their heart, do we? We want them up here scared so we can control them. Like, bigger picture, guys. right? And so the more you can allow yourself to cry and grieve, and a lot of people can't cry, right? And that's because they've built these big shells of protection, because from a child they weren't allowed to cry, right? Sorry, I'm just making sure the aircon's on this. I don't want this to overheat. There we go. Just let it do that for a minute. So it's like, you know, we've been taught not to cry. We've been taught to suppress our emotions, and a lot of people, like I said, from a young child, don't cry, not allowed to cry, oh, belt you if you're gonna cry. Like, do you know what I mean? What is the saying? Like, stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. And so we learn to shut that down. And so then as an adult, and we try and cry, the little girl or little boy inside of you is shit scared, still frozen in that moment in time. People wonder why their throat's so blocked and they can't speak their truth. So many layers here, so many layers, so deep, so many layers. So then another awesome comment that was put on here as well, you know, and I always say this as well to my clients, like, people come to me and they do all this deep healing work and they're like, oh, I feel like I need to do a physical detox, and I'm like, only if you feel called to. Like, don't force it right now, right? I'm the first person to tell you to just hold off on a physical detox, especially when you're working with me, because we're dealing with a deep trauma and that's enough of a detox, right? You'll feel the time and place when it's right to do a physical detox when you're dealing with emotions, but emotions is, like I said, is enough of a purge for a moment. There's plenty of time when you're in a good place and you can really be fully present with the physical detox, because it's going to create an emotional detox at the same time. I wouldn't recommend doing both. I really don't. It's really, I want to say, underestimated how powerful it is to release trauma, and especially with the tools that I work with my clients. Like, someone can be frozen and then we use these tools and then for days they're bawling their eyes out and they haven't cried for years, and it's like, this is what defrosts them, as I say, right? Yeah, and the body can carry so much. The body can really carry so much, and that's why, you know, people as they get older, they, you know, hit severe illnesses, or depending on the trauma they're carrying from childhood. Hence, like with Jessie, I think she was 33 or something like that. Like, I don't know her, so, but, you know, given that level of you know, like, physical illness to severely hit, I'd be surprised if she's done any, like, deep grief, right? That there's a difference. You can do a Reiki session, you can do like a little bit of NLP, like, to heal childhood trauma, and I'm like, it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work, right? Especially when we look at bowel cancer. As I said, like, the large intestine is where grief is stored. And when you're not letting that grief out, it'll fester, hence the cancer. And cancer is resentment and holding on to pain, I think. Let me just check. If you guys don't have this book, I know it's back to front. If you guys don't have this book, take a screenshot, Secret Language of Your Body by Ina Segal. It's like one of the healer's tools. I'm not associated with her at all. I just love this. There is many books out here that metaphysically diagnose physical illnesses. There's many books out there. I really love this when she brought it out, because it feels really in alignment and in truth. Sure, others are in truth, but this is just really, really, what's the word? It just feels in alignment. whatever that is. So if we look at, like, there's all different cancers here, but if we look at, so 131. So Cancer, feeling limited, angry. Like, if we look at it, and this is not just for Jessie, this is for anyone who's had cancer or does have cancer. And if we look at their childhood, or you might know a bit about their past or their childhood, Cancer, feeling limited, angry, fearful, and out of control. Carrying wounds from the past. That's Cancer, let alone specific parts of the body, will then give you more depth and understanding about what's actually and where this actually is, right? So then we've got not feeling good enough, shrinking inside and attacking yourself from within. We can put on a big front, we can be very confident, build empires, but it's driven from not feeling good enough, so I need to be good enough. Does that, you know, it's like the polarity. And when we're living in a polarity too long, it'll knock you, right? It's like a wake up, like, hey, you can't, it's like the rubber band can't stretch all the way. It's like, it's both. There's day and night, breath in, breath out. Let's look at the light and the dark, not just be in the light, even though we can create an impact, incredible change, multiple millions of lives. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it's impacting us deep inside, it needs to be looked at. So not feeling good enough, shrinking inside and attacking yourself from within, feeling like guilt, grief and uncertainty are eating away at your body. On guard, never able to relax and let go. Quick, go, 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 turn up, do these things, like, you know, like, let's go all the time. Often pushing yourself to do more than you can handle. It's okay, you can sleep when we're dead. Importance, right? And this is where it's like, do you even feel worthy to give to yourself? To an extent, yes, but it's like looking at that, right? It's so important. So hence why, yeah, this book. So yes, thank you, Destiny, The Secret Language of Your Body by Ines Segal. Like I said, there's many out there. Louise Hay, You Can Change Your Life. There's another awesome one by, oh, I can't think of her name right this second. Carolyn Mace, I think. You know, like this is, yeah, really like a really awesome book. And yeah, so kidneys, fear, and it gives you healing processes and stuff in there as well. But it's like an important guidebook if you're in this work to be like, you know, I've never read this book start to finish, never. And I've had it for years. Hang on, I think I've had it since my 30th birthday, which is 9 years ago. This was my birthday yesterday. Interesting. I'd wanted it for ages, and then I was like, can you get me this book for my birthday? I've never read this book start to finish. I use it as a reference guide, and I've used it lots. So yeah, it really helps your intuition to amplify when you are helping diagnose a client, or even yourself, right? When you're feeling a physical pain, you're like, oh, what is that? It's kind of like, look it up. It'll be on point, I guarantee you. Okay, I want to talk about, I'm just going to check these comments here. Sorry, because, hang on, can I bring this up without the sound? Sorry, I don't want to touch the screen because the comments are... Ashley said, magically found that book at an op shop last year. Magically, huh? Synchronicity, I meant to be. Also love Louise Hay. Yeah, Louise Hay was honestly the book that You Can Heal Your Life as well. The Lightworker's Way by Doreen Virtue, really, well, that's actually a bit of backstory before I got to that book, but I got that book through a series of synchronistic events that really accelerated my spiritual awakening back in 2005. And then Doreen Virtue had mentioned in The Lightworker's Way, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, all those Dyer. And then so I went and just bought all those books, and I just, the rest is history. I've been living it ever since. But the Louise Hay book changed my life. Like that was the one I was just like, oh my God, we create this. So hence that I've been doing ever since. And Ashley says, and I've been having fun with intuitively looking at issues like toothache, biting more than I can handle. Another time I had a toothache and the truth hurts. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And so our teeth, each tooth connects to a specific organ in your body. So when people get a filling in a particular tooth or something's off in the teeth, like my teeth in the front, like it's like crooked, and I've gone to the dentist and he's like, you'd have to get the whole thing redone or whatever. But that's my kidneys. And so I'm conscious of looking after my kidneys, and it's like, you know, like I said, so if you just Google TCM, which stands for Traditional Chinese Medicine, so TCM, tooth chart, and all these charts or diagrams will come up, and you can see, like, if you know which tooth you've had a filling in, or someone's having trouble with their teeth, you can go and look at the chart, and it's like, oh, that connects to liver. Oh, and then it's like solar plexus is where the liver is. It's a filter. Are they overloaded? Are they angry? Are Are they living out of alignment of their life? Are they in an unhealthy, toxic relationship? And then the liver, when the liver backs up, we get tight shoulders and neck pain. Like it all cycles around and it all backs up, right? It's so important. So it's, yeah, that. And then also like our face also is like a whole organ of our body. So like it's like crown, eyes, like heart, and this comes down to base chakra and all the organs through our base. And like our feet, like reflexology, like if you look at the reflexology chart, same thing. Like if you touch your feet or you get a foot massage and there's a particular area that's really tender, look on the tooth chart, look on the reflexology chart, and you can see what organ that is, and that needs more support. And also at specific times of the day, so like the 24-hour body clock, like again, Google TCM 24-hour body clock, and the charts will come up. And again, you can, like if you're tired every day at like 3 p.m, or if you're waking up at 2 a.m, 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is grief. So if you're waking up at 4 a.m, you need to cry, right? Can't get back to sleep, can't get to sleep. Like look at what time it is. If you go to sleep and then you wake up and you're only awake from like 11 p.m. till 1 a.m, look on the TCM chart, look at the organ, see what the metaphysical organ is. Like this is how we heal, guys. This is how we can catch the warning signs. So people have also asked me, like people ask me what, like I do this work, but how do I know if I'm not missing anything? Like hence, how do I know if I'm not going to get cancer? Basically, like it can induce fear, what I'm talking about, right? But the thing is that if you're conscious, if you're constantly, I want to say constantly doing the work. What I mean by that is like when issues surface for you, are you burying them or are you facing them head on? Are you doing the inner child work? Are you doing the clearing in like trauma wounds work, which again is what I teach in Trust Intuition. It's not, it's an important process because you can't just throw someone into a deep trauma wound process if they're not prepared for it. There's certain steps that you must take with a client before you do deep wound clearing work. Like it's like what I say, you can't just cut cords, etheric cords from people willy-nilly, because you can actually send them to hospital. I've literally had a client come to me and she went to a hands-on healing session. The woman cut all these cords off her, and that night the woman ended up in emergency in a medical hospital because all this stuff was happening. I'm like, you can't fucking do that. Like this stuff is so important. Like if you need to know what you're doing. You can't throw someone into a deep wound clearing process. You'll fucking send them into psychosis. Just like, you know, some plant medicine ceremonies, some people go into psychosis because they're not actually prepared on an energetic level and know how to care for themselves, let alone the steps that is required to understand what's going on for your own energy. And this is why I'm passionate about teaching you what to do. Like 100% you trained so you can have clients, like that's what we do, right? But also you know the risks and the rules, and you can assess each client because every client is different. Not some clients come to you and they're 100% ready for the wound clearing process. Other clients, you know that it would be dangerous, physically dangerous, mentally dangerous to take them into a wound clearing process. Like this is, I can't stress this enough. This is why I do what I do. Okay. So Kate says, oh my God, oh, my gran just passed with bowel cancer. So many synchronicities since jumping on with you all. Isn't it interesting, right? And this is the thing where a lot of people, you know, in their old age, you know, do die from these illnesses because, you know, and if we look at the generations, and this is what I said, like our society has been raised in unconsciousness. And now we're waking up. This is the Great Awakening. It's time for healing. And then after the healing, then we can create the new earth and all live in beautiful symbiotic harmony. But there's a lot of trauma that needs to be healed right now, so that people like Jessie don't take it to the grave, even though they're impacting people and creating amazing change in people's lives. Like awesome, but let's not have a Jessie repeat over and over again, so that we can actually not take that trauma to the grave. Like this is so important. So important. So important. I'm so passionate about this. Ashley says, interesting, I got a tooth removed last year and within a week I got into a car accident. If you're not gonna wake up, I'll wake you up some other how. Seriously, I don't mean that in a bad way, Ashley. It's just like this stuff happens all the time. And this is the thing, it's kind of like we're not paying attention to what's going on, and we completely continue to ignore it, it's like a bigger wake up will happen. I think I even said this in a Tuesday Tarot just yesterday. I'm pretty sure I said something about this. I'm like, are you going to deal with it, or are you going to get spirit to force its hand to help you deal with it? What's worse? I don't know if it was like this week or last week I said that in Tuesday Tarot. Can't remember. Channeling when I'm writing, but I know this definitely came up. Definitely came up. So interesting. I really appreciate you sharing this, Ashley. I got a tooth removed last year, and within a week I got into a car accident. And the thing is like, if we look at me with the dog attack, so those of you who have been following me for a while, like the dog attack happened to me 18 months. That was my wake up. That was my level of healing, the level of trauma that I've been carrying for 20 years, probably for, longer, from my childhood. And especially that I've done a lot of spiritual work over the years, but that dog attack waked me up to a deeper level of trauma that I'd been carrying from my childhood, from the experiences. And I did end up writing a lot about it in my book and how I healed from that. Ancient Blooded Healer, You're One of a Kind, because it's like I had to go through that level of darkness and the attack and what that represented on an attack level, on a wound level, on a darkness level, on a trauma level. Like I had to go through that and face that. And I think I even wrote in my book, it's like, don't be afraid, and don't let anybody tell you to stop crying if you're crying for months. Because once you start this healing process, there's 20, 40, 50, 60 years of however old you are that you've been suppressing that grief. It's going to take a few months to come out. Like, give yourself 18 months of crying in huge chunks. Don't let anyone tell you there's something wrong with you. Don't let anyone tell you to stop crying. Like, be around people like myself or the healers or reality awareness, because this is the healing, right? And when you are in this level of grief, and you're just in this dark grief that you feel like it's never gonna fucking end, right? Like for months, 18 months, 3 years, give yourself this grace. It's like you won't be crying the whole time, but like for weeks you might fucking, when's it gonna stop? Give yourself 18 months from the time you commit to doing this work. Why? Because this is healing. It releases the stress cortisol from the tears, release the stress cortisol, right? The hormone cortisol. Hear me talk. I'll continue to say it over and over and over again. This is the healing. Society has been taught to suppress this. This is actually healing, right? I'm so fucking passionate about this, because it's like I've healed people. Like, and I saw someone comment, someone else commented on my post about it, about MS. And I'm like, I've literally had a client that has worked with me long term, and she's still working with me. And in the first 12 months, her MS tests kept improving and improving and improving. Why? Because we were healing the trauma, because we were healing the grief, because we were healing this. So you either understand that you'll be crying for ages, or work with someone like myself that can support you through it and know that you're not going crazy or insane, because people will talk you out of it. People will tell you there's something wrong with you. Why? Because it's triggering their suppressed grief that is really confronting to face, because society's been trained that it's not okay. If you walk into, I don't know personally, but I share this particular article. If you walk into a tribe, specifically one of the African tribes, they support grief like this because they know that this is how and what heals. It's a normal human emotion. So Ashley says, I know that they're connected and too scared to go back to the dentist. Going to be interested to see how it links in with the cyst or whatever mass is in my ovaries. Okay, awesome. So the ovaries, right, and the cyst. So a cyst, hang on, I'm working with a client about this recently as well. Hang on, let me remind myself. Ovarian cysts, 156. Holding on to hurts and pain from men, and pain from previous mental, emotional, or physical abuse. Not feeling good enough. Rejecting your femininity. Problems with fertility, like wanting a child or more children and being unable to have them. And I want to add on to that, when you didn't have the family and childhood you want, and then you're trying to create a childhood, you're trying to create a family and have the happy family that you never had. To heal that wound, let's just heal the wound, right? And let that heal itself. Feeling lonely and unloved, conflict with your mother, sister, any female like that, right? So, oh yeah, and you're just saying here something like that. So, and then when you look at the tooth, right, and the accident, it's kind of like, what's it gonna take for you to deal with this? Yeah. When I'm doing this kind of work, I write affirmations minimum 3 times, and if it resonates deeply, the whole page. Awesome. I use the color pen for the chakras, and oh my god, this is so healing. I love that you do this. Continue doing that, please. Like whatever it is to my ovaries, I got orange booked. Awesome. Please keep doing that. Please keep doing that. Terry says, do people come for wound clearing and come knowing what was the wound, or are they trying to figure out what's going on? Yeah, so awesome question, Terry. So a lot of people come to me with, I don't know, I'll just call it a surface issue. Let's say they come to me, it's a really big issue, by the way. I'm not down dismissing what you're going through or anyone's going through. They come to, I'm just giving you an example. They come to me with a current relationship issue. They're having problems with their husband or their wife or their boyfriend or whatever. They come to me with that. Usually we have a 30-minute psychic reading call. They get insight, they go away. Then they come back for deeper work. Some people come to me and they dive straight into my 12-month program because they're ready. Some people come and they get a psychic reading with me, and if you get a psychic reading with me, it's 30 minutes. I prefer to jump on a video call with you because we can heal and shift energetically so much when we're on video together. And that can be enough for now. You know how I said just before, I'm like, there's some people you don't throw them into a wound clearing process. You'll send, like, some people are not ready, okay? It's a bit like, I don't know how to give an analogy for it, but anyway, it's like coming for a video call with me can just be enough for now. It's like we're defrosting some of the outer layers of the wound, if you may, okay? And it might be represented by the issues with your husband or your boyfriend or your sister or your wife or whatever the fuck's going on in your life. It will be represented by that because that's an outside scar layer. Again, I talk about this in my book, right? Underneath at its core is the wound, where it originally happened, childhood, past life, multidimensional life, whatever comes up, like wherever that began. And then you've lived your life, and like I said, we create these scar layers because it was like you're attracting a certain vibration. You know, people always talk about law of attraction and manifesting your reality. I'm like, yeah, because you're vibrating at a certain vibration with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your physical body, with the traumas that this person is continually holding. Like you know yourself, right? You can walk into a room or you walk past someone and you're like, ooh, get a weird vibe from them, and they've probably got a lot of trauma that they're carrying from their past, like, and that's just who they are, and they might be a bit rough or whatever, like, you know, rough around the edges. I'm like, yeah, because they're carrying this certain vibration, right? And it's like these trauma wounds or whatever. Or there's some people that have got a real positive vibe and they're just amazing, but they're not grounded in it because they're suppressing all this trauma, and you're like, something's off with them, and you can't quite place your finger on it, suppressing that. Or they're really angry at people and you have to do it this way. Especially I see this in the Christian community, no offense, but it's plain as fucking day. Like, oh my god, you need to repent to go to God, and that guy's like, yo. It's like, fuck, how about looking at you, the 3 fingers pointed. It's like, why are you so angry? Why does everyone else have like control? Because they're trying to control my grief. I don't want to look inside. Why people with their emotions and that project, and it's like underneath is so scared because as a child it was not okay to look inside, it was not okay to feel, we had to be tough and successful and be good enough and then I'll love you. Deep, right? Deep. So people come to me at different levels and different stages, and I'm here for it all, right? If you come to me for a 30-minute psychic reading, it's because you're ready for that. If you come to me for that and then you're ready after this first session and then you're ready to book in for a deeper work, awesome. If not, you might take 5 years to come back and work with me. Awesome. You might never come back because that might be enough in this lifetime. Awesome. Everybody's at different levels, and there's some people who will never wake up. There's some people who will never heal. There's some people who will evolutionize themselves and become the next Jesus on the planet. I don't fucking know. Everybody's at different levels, and I train my healers to work with everyone at different levels because every single person has a different life history, has different traumas, and they all convolute, and like there's no one healing system for every single person that comes to you. There is intuitive healing for every single person on the planet, and it varies in every single session. So I hope that helps. So I mean, like, for example, if it was the very first time you've ever worked with me, obviously it's an intuitive assessment by myself when you work with me, what we're ready for in that moment. It's very rare unless the person's done a lot of personal development work in a lot of other, you know, industries and modalities, and then they come to me because all of that stuff hasn't worked and we drop straight in and heal it like on the spot. That's definitely happened as well. I had a woman who was stuck in a past life for 3 years, and she came to me, and within 3 days she did my past life meditation. She had a lot of resistance to doing the past life meditation, just the meditation itself. I didn't even do it, like it was like listening to my meditation, which all my meditations are designed to heal, right? They're specific journeys, they're supportive, they're healing. If you've ever experienced a full moon ceremony with me, they're fully healing. Like, they're designed to heal. That's all my meditations are designed to heal. That's why I create them. That's its purpose. And it's like, when you come to me, like the woman with the 3 years that have been stuck in the past life, she did the past life meditation. She had a lot of resistance to it because she was still stuck in the past life from 3 years ago. She's like, oh my God, Hannah, that just healed me. And we didn't really need to do any other work for the rest of the 3 weeks. She was working with me on the 21-day shifted program. It was done within 3 days. When she listened to the meditation, she's like, I've been in that for 3 years. And I'm like, I know. You don't just take someone back to a past life just to see it, like what, just for fun? No, we go back there to heal shit. We go back there to unhook from the stuff that's keeping you trapped, right? So yeah. All right. Is there anything else I need to cover? Oh my God, the 14th of October date. Really, really important. I might do a reel about it actually, but I'll just say it for those of you who are listening. Because, you know, like it was like the 14th of October, and that came through in the full moon ceremony, and it was like, heal, like really work on your health now, because at the 14th of October it's going to be like this big thing of energy coming into the planet or whatever. Now, I didn't really know what to make of that. Excuse me, I must be clearing energy. Oh, by the way, crying, burping, farting, coughing, like feeling like you're gonna vomit, like, is all clearing energy. Sweating, all of that's purging energy. When you do any of my meditations or you get a healing or anything like that, sometimes you can, like, and when I'm doing healings of people, I'm burping, coughing, like stuff's coming out. Ask Archangel Michael of 100% light or any other deities that you feel called to use to help pull stuff out. Like, this stuff is real, guys, okay? So just wanted to say that. Healing's messy, it's raw, it's a fucking mess, right? We're birthing a whole new thing. So yeah, so on to the 14th of October date. So I think I've finished what I wanted to say about Jessie and that whole thing. If you've got questions, you're watching the replay, just pop them in, I'll come back to the comments. So the 14th of October date, like I said, that came through in full moon ceremony. It was like, get your health right, do what it can to prepare, because there's a big energy wave coming in. That's what I thought. And I'm like, I don't know, what does that mean? I was shown something. And then the 14th date, like, obviously I get a date, I'm like, psychic timing, do we trust it? Whatever's, nothing's set in stone, everything's shifting all at the same time. So then it was like, someone shared a reel with me or something, and it was like some guy was talking about the 14th of October or something around that, and it was like there is a big astrological event and lineup around that time, and then like the powers, the governments of the world will try and do something so that we're not paying attention to that. And then just this morning I saw another reel. Someone was saying, I don't know, did he say October 4th or 2nd? Maybe I can look on this phone. Is it here? Oh, I don't remember what he said. It was either the October the 11th. It was either the October the 4th, 11th, or the 14th. Don't quote me on this. It was something like that, because I was just paying attention to a message, and he was saying that's when they're going to start sending out all the emergency alert stuff via our phones. A lot of people have already known a bit about this, and that's going to activate the graphene oxide in the bodies. I'm a little bit nervous about that. We knew this was coming, the frequencies, so yeah, and the solar eclipse, yeah. Thank you for that reminder. And then when I downloaded the 21-day quantum trauma shifter, which is, I haven't even talked about that. I released it yesterday, the 21-day quantum trauma shifter, and I was like downloading it on Monday night, and I was like, okay, when are we starting it? And it was like October 14th, and I'm like looking at the dates, and I'm like looking at the moons, and I'm like, oh, that's like the day before the solar eclipse. I'm like, okay. So, and then I was driving here, and you know, that information came about the October 14th, and I'm like, well, isn't it interesting that now I'm going to we start the 21-day quantum trauma shifter on October 14th. It's the day before the solar eclipse. Then there's the lunar eclipse. So we're coming into eclipse season. The energies are going to be strong. So if you've been sleeping lots the last week or been extra tired, let yourself sleep. So, you know, just like, it's like prepare, right? Get as healthy as you can, fit as can, get as much sleep as you can. Like, it's not that anything's bad, but it's like, when the thing is that when we're intuitive, we feel energy like no tomorrow. And we must be taking responsibility and taking care of ourselves and our energy. And when we do that, we become more sensitive to energy, but we become more aware of what's ours, what's surfacing from childhood that we need to deal with, like we just talked about on this live stream the whole freaking time. You know, so it doesn't build up in our body, so we're not suppressing it, so we don't get sick and die, for example, all those things, right? So really, really important to just be aware that we're heading into the eclipse season. Thank you for that reminder. The 21-day quantum trauma shifter, it's $55, guys. It's the early bird. When I released the early bird, I was going to put it at 77. Then when I was setting it up, Spirit's like 55, and I'm like, okay, 55. But it's only early bird special until Friday, and then it goes up to 99. But it's 3 weeks, and it'll, I want to say the energy of it feels like it'll be like a full moon ceremony for 3 weeks. It's a quantum trauma shifter, so we will be unlocking this deep trauma at its core. It's like we're like unlocking it so it can sort of start to dismantle. Very powerful, very potent. So if you want healing, it's definitely the place to be in the 21-day quantum trauma shifter. So if you'd like details for that, just comment quantum below and I'll send you the details. I'm sure you've seen me post about it on my page and stuff like that. I did it released it with Tuesday Tarot yesterday as well. It's going to be a very powerful journey. So, oh yeah, and Shane says, so that's why our noses run when crying. Yeah, and so blood nose is inner crying. So if you get blood noses frequently as well, it's like the tears are wanting to come out, like you're suppressing the tears. Yeah, and our noses run when crying is like releasing the tears, right? So important. Let it out, not keep it in. So Ashley said, I got chills telling this one along the lines of how we can be carrying others' traumas that aren't ours. So we do that all the time. And this is, again, training your energy, understanding your energy. So, you know, and this is like the basis. Like if you're in this spiritual work or if you're sensitive, you must know this stuff. This is like basic ABC, trust your intuition. Like, yeah, because we need to understand this level of energy work to go into the deeper trauma work. Like I said, otherwise you send people into psychosis and all sorts of things. It's so important to understand, even yourself. I think it was 2020, I was doing some healing work, forgave my stepdad, and same day he had a stroke. Yeah, because we carry it and then we give it back. Carried a lot of anger, and this year my message came through: when I'm feeling others' anger towards me, I let it move through me and not shield myself. Yeah, shielding is important. Like, be like cutting cords in an emergency situation. But it's not something I'd recommend doing all the time, because it's more work holding it up. And again, that's why it's so important to understand your energy and all those pieces. Okay. I've been talking for ages. I'm in my car. It's hot. Aircon's on. I'm grateful that the phone didn't overheat. If you're watching replay, let me know if you've got any questions. Send me a message if you want to chat about anything. I don't do free private help. But if you want to talk about my different programs that offer, or being able to work with me, send me a message. Life Purpose Accelerator is open. Goddess Codes is open. So there's a 4-month program, there's a 12-month program. Just depends what you're ready for. But the 21-day quantum trauma shifter would be the place to be if you're really wanting to do this work, right? Like, I don't heal you, but I can definitely guide where the healing is coming from. And in that, I teach you how to listen to your intuition, and you learn from understanding what's going on. I see this stuff. I see trauma in people's energy like a big ball of tangled yarn, like wool. Like, I see it. And then every tangled wool thread, you know, like, you can imagine a bowl of yarn that's tangled mess. I see every thread, like, where that leads. Like, I'm like, isn't this normal? No, I've realized this is my gift. It's the untangling, like, it's so clear to me. That's why I'm very conscious. And when people message me and they're like, what about this? And I'm like, I don't even read it. And I'm like, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, here's how you can work with me in a session. Because as soon as I start reading something, I get information, I get the download, I get the information. And I've had to learn energetically about the boundaries. And I see some people, just quickly, I see some people like, oh, people were so rude messaging me about this stuff, and I'm like, no, that's your own boundaries where you need to say that to someone about that. Okay, Terry says, would I want to do the quantum the month before my only son's engagement and celebration? Could be really supportive. Could be really supportive. Yeah. All right, I'm going. Phone's about to, well, I need to turn my car off. And I'm going to go and speak with my clients now, because I can do that at the beach on my phone. And I shall see you guys really soon. Trust Intuition open soon. 21-day quantum trauma. If you like the information, just comment trust quantum. Send me a message if you like details to be able to work with me. And I hope this really helps you guys to really heal yourself, because that's what I'm passionate about. Because everybody's got trauma in our unconscious society that everyone's waking up from. So important. Love you guys.